Hey everybody, Boris, BK Forex. Welcome to the weekly technicals for the majors for Euro dollar, dollar yen, and pound dollar for October 23rd to October 27th of 2017. Calendar full of risk. Well, after a week of really low volatility trade, really almost 2 weeks of very low volatility trade, we're now coming into some pretty nice event risk on the calendar. Should have a lot of movement in certain pairs, especially the euro, because we have the ECB meeting, obviously. Cable as well because of the inflation report from the BOE. So going to be looking forward to a lot more movement in the majors, hopefully, as we get along, as well as the fact that the dollar really kind of broke out at the end of this week. And that's going to be, I think, a topic of conversation and certainly a very interesting thematic trade as we enter into the next week. I'll discuss that in just a minute. But first, let's just take a look at the various supports, resistance points. Euro hasn't really moved. We're still 117, 119, and that's actually very interesting because a break of either one of those channels, I think, really tells you the longer-term movement of the pair at this point. Dollar yen starting to really creep up. We're now coming up against some very, very key resistance, and I'll just show you on the charts exactly what I mean. And cable staying very much in the zone of 34.31. So let's take a look at the charts and see what they're showing us right now. Euro is very interesting because I'm looking at a daily chart. You basically can play it, or you can make an argument both ways. But I think, really, until and unless it breaks the 17 handle, it still looks more bullish than bearish. I mean, it's certainly consolidative, certainly very distributive here. It's been essentially in a distributive top since August. But what you're seeing here is, despite all of this selling pressure sent against it, it's holding the base at the 17.5, basically at the 17 handle here. And although we have a very negative day today, a reversal day today, it's still holding around these levels. To me, the fact that we have actually built a higher low and have held this levels suggests that any positive catalyst could really push us right back up towards the 120 level. Now, 120 is going to be very serious resistance, no doubt. But for now, despite the fact that euro is a sell, it really doesn't become a true strong sell impulse until and unless it breaks this whole 17 level. The low here is about 16.99. That's the big support area. And a break here certainly would then consolidate a very distributive top and confirm that we could be drifting all the way back down to perhaps 112, 110 on the breakout basis. But for now, you kind of have to buy the dip because the risk here is relatively small. I mean, if you're wrong for 100 pips. If you're right, you've bought a very good value proposition with the potential here for move back up towards the 120 level. Dollar yen, on the other hand, certainly had a big breakout today, but the impulse move here really needs to be completed. That's, I think, is the big takeaway from dollar yen on the technicals, because if you're looking over here, we have a three-top formation, triple top formation, and most importantly, we really need to see the 114 handle taken out and closed on a daily basis to truly feel strongly that it's a longer term breakout. Let's just take a look at the weeklies just to show you how this stands in the proper context. So you can see that, you know, on the weeklies it's far less impressive as far as a move here, and you do definitely need a move somewhere around here in the 14 handle to give you some confidence that we can move back up towards the 120. Other than that, even if you look at the weekly, it just simply looks like distributive and worse, a failure at a lower high would be much more negative. So this is going to be a determinative week in many ways. Can the dollar power through? Can we get a move in the yields towards the 2.5 level? Is the market finally going to feel confident? Right now, it's really trading on hopium, on the idea that the tax reform and growth in the U.S. is going to remain relatively robust, and that the Fed is wholly committed to a rate hike beyond the one in December. December is sort of already priced in. The big question right now for the market is, will the Fed continue its rate hiking path into the next year? And that's why you see so much hesitation in dollar yen. So that should be a very interesting trade. There's also, by the way, of course, we have elections in Japan. I'm kind of skipping over this big event risk. We have elections in Japan over the weekend, but the assumption here is that Abe is going to win, and that should just be already factored into the price. Although it could possibly be mildly positive dollar yen. On a sense that if Abe wins, he's certainly going to continue with the Abenomics, which is stimulative to Japanese economy. But overall, the dollar yen story, while looking quite good on the close of the week, still needs to prove itself. We're still really working against these very, very critical resistance points, and the price just simply needs to get taken out on those levels in order for us to feel much more confident that it's a true buy instead of just simply a move. Now, cable, on the other hand, you can see cable actually looks quite good. Most importantly, and this is really the interesting thing, let me just sort of zoom in here. This is a very interesting buy candle because look at we basically bought the bottom and recovered here almost all the way to the top. It would be ideal as I finish up the day here if we close at the 32 handle. That would really give it a powerful signal. But regardless, this particular buy signal looks to be very accumulative. And they're not always correct, but they're correct much more than they're not correct. So you can see, for example, this is a distributive candle where the sellers ended up on the lows of the day. This is an accumulative candle where the buyers ended up on the high of the day. There was a little bit of extension, and then of course we have other data that destroyed it. As far as the calendar goes, and this is the interesting thing, I think we can go back to the calendar now and just sort of look at the data sets. The calendar is going to be primarily European and cable driven. So on the European side, we have the PMI manufacturing data, we have IFO data, we have UK GDP numbers, which will be kind of interesting because that will probably play against the whole BOE inflation report, which comes in on, I believe, it's not on Kathy's calendar, but where's the? I think it's a Wednesday print on the. It's either Wednesday or a Thursday print on the BOE inflation report, which will be very informative as to whether they're going to dismiss the inflationary pressures or really try to play them up. But technically, the cable trade looks more bullish than it does bearish for the time being, and it certainly has a potential here to move towards the 33 handle as we go forward. And then last but not least, very much on the major data set this week, the major event this week will be the ECB presser on Thursday. And here, the question is, are they going to taper? Are they going to make an announcement? And if they make an announcement, will they make one that is going to be viewed positively by the market? Euro, one of the reasons why I think the euro is trading so well, or at least holding bid so well at this point, is precisely because the market is expecting a relatively robust taper. Aside from the political turmoil in Catalonia, the overall European economy is actually doing quite well, and it may be time for monetary policy stimulus to begin to scale back. And if Mario Draghi begins to communicate that to the market, that alone should be very positive for the euro, and this is really why you're seeing the support here in the euro at this level. If we can hold here until Thursday, and then Thursday we have a positive move, we certainly have a scope here to move towards the 120 as the week progresses. But basically, that's really how the week shapes up. Dollar yen has to prove itself to the 114 level. Euro needs to hold the 117, and cable is kind of floating by itself, but with the possibility of a move towards 133 as the week progresses. Wish you guys the best luck, the best of trading. Boris Schlossberg, over now.